Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Shinder and this is Chance of Sussex, my vlog about my study abroad experience last autumn. This time we're talking about my reading week, which is when students have a week off from having to go to campus. I used that week to take a trip to Scotland, and what a trip it was. So much to tell that it may not be just one video, so bear with me. I took a flight to Edinburgh, where the Highland bus tour with Haggis Adventures began. And I actually tried some haggis over there in Scotland, and it was really good. A wonderful looking city with a castle, a bridge, and everything. I highly recommend checking out Edinburgh. I wasn't there long, but it was incredible hiking through the woods and seeing waterfalls once we left there. We went to a town called Dunkeld, where a battle was held in 1689. Even saw a cathedral there. And we also went into this place where we saw swords from the Battle of Killiecrankie that same year. So it was like we were observing history, these places and remnants from past events. Afterward, we went to this knoll that was once thought to be an entrance into a land of fairies. I didn't see any such entrance there, but it did feel like we were adventurers in a fantasy story. And we also saw Loch Lochy along the way to the hostel, where we had a pub quiz. As for the team name, I came up with Quiztionable, and someone else suggested Quiztionable Morals. We actually won by a single point and got sparkling wine as a prize, which was really nice. I did pretty well on the bonus round, where people had to guess TV show theme songs. I remember some of them were from Breaking Bad, Dexter, Sherlock, The X-Files, The Big Bang Theory, The Walking Dead, and when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air played at the end, pretty much everyone sang along to that theme song. On the second day, we hiked by River Morriston, where J.M. Barrie got the inspiration for Tinkerbell, according to our tour guide, Callum. We also went to a city called Inverness, and then to Culloden Moor, where a battle took place in 1746. So, more history, and it really opens your eyes seeing all these windows into the past and all the events that took place long before you were at this place. Then we got a guided tour of this whiskey distillery, Tomatin, I believe the company was called. Each of us were allowed a shot of whiskey, and they ended up giving me an extra one that was left over. I really liked it. When we went to Loch Ness, because of course we're in Scotland, we have to go to Loch Ness, we went into the gift shop. Now, I didn't see any Loch Ness monster at Loch Ness, but in the gift shop I got this chocolate that was shaped like Nessie. So I got that for myself, and also got a couple of t-shirts as gifts. My brother Alex loves Jurassic Park, so I got him one that said Loch Ness, and it was in the style of the Jurassic Park logo. And I got my friend Albert one with the Superman symbol, but the S shape is Nessie. So yeah, I looked at that shirt and I was like, oh, this is such an Albert shirt, because he really loves DC Comics. We also passed by Margaret Castle on the way to the hostel. So again, we're seeing all these interesting buildings, like older style architecture, and you see how far we've come since then. On day 3 of this trip, we saw some nice scenery near Invergary, and we also saw Eilean Donna Castle. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Maybe it's Eilean Donna Castle. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But this was featured in movies like The World Is Not Enough from the James Bond series. A little while later, we saw hairy coos, and it was pretty trippy getting to see them up close. We stopped in a town called Portree, which had beautiful sights, especially from the apothecary's tower. From there, we headed to a hill called Score and took a hike there, and this other place in Coolnecknock where it was pretty windy. On top of that, we saw a river on Isle of Skye. The next morning, we had some time to walk on the bridge from Isle of Skye. Once we were done with that walk, we took off on the bus again, starting day 4 of this whole thing, and saw these little waterfalls called the Tears of the Five Sisters of Kintail. So I really love all the names of these places over there. I think they're very creative. We saw more waterfalls as we hiked Glen Mavis, and there we even saw these stair-step looking things. And then we went to a place that was very familiar to me, Glen Finnan, an area known for scenes in the Harry Potter movies featuring the Hogwarts Express, the arrival at Hogwarts in boats, and the Forbidden Forest. So this was another instance where I could later watch something after having been to a place where some of it was filmed. I was so pleased as a Harry Potter fan, as you can imagine. That night, we went to Skipinish Keeley House, home of a band, drinks, and dancing. It was a lot of fun. We did some Kaylee dancing. The next day, we went on a hike to Glen Coe, which felt like the stairs of Cirith Ungol from The Lord of the Rings. Getting to the waterfall was probably as exhausting as hiking through Middle-earth. Someone in a group of hikers who passed by even had Howard Shore's The Lord of the Rings music playing. After that whole adventure, we went to Calendar and had lunch at Taste of the Sussex. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing these places right. I can pronounce Cirith Ungol from Lord of the Rings, but I'm not as familiar with these other places. But this place where we had lunch had very delicious pies. So they're so good that I ate them at a park and then returned for more. We passed by Doon Castle, which was used for various castles in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. A movie that I think is really hilarious. I remember I was probably thinking about one line that Patsy says where like they look at Camelot and they say Camelot, 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 and then Patsy says it's only a model, and they shush him. So we also saw Stirling Bridge over River Forth. A battle took place around here in 1297. So again, that's even further back than the other battles I've mentioned. And we also had a view from the Wallace Monument, and we saw a model of that there, so again, it's only a model. Let's see, we also saw some horses, and we saw Stirling Castle. There was this huge statue of Kelpies, or a couple statues of Kelpies, or maybe it was just the one. I'd have to go back and look. But Kelpies are shape-shifting water spirits, apparently. We also returned to Edinburgh at the end of the 5th day of this trip. We saw Donaldson's School for the Deaf over there. We didn't go inside, we just passed by and saw it from the outside. I've been told that this may have been an inspiration for Hogwarts, but I'm not quite sure. In either case, I really like the style of the architecture, just seeing it from the outside. Also saw St. Mary's Cathedral in West End. I really love how all the buildings look around here in Edinburgh. I went with my friend Emma to do some exploring. We saw this wizard chess thing at a shop, or maybe it was a collection of geeky shops. We might have gone to a couple different places, maybe a few. But there's this merchandise from various fandoms. Rebel Base might have been the name of one of these places. And there's a really cool Predator statue at one of these places. And then after doing some exploring at those shops, we went to see Thor Ragnarok. It had come out a week earlier in the UK than in the US, if I recall correctly. And it was a fun movie. There are some things in the first act that didn't make me laugh so much, but from the second act onward, it was like a hilarious ride. And what's interesting is that last May, when I watched Avengers Infinity War, I saw a scene that took place in Edinburgh, and I remember watching that scene and thinking, oh, I walked through there on the day I watched Thor Ragnarok. So it was kind of a surreal experience, like that whole connection between Edinburgh and Marvel experiences. So yeah, it's like really nice to have that extra layer when you watch Marvel movies or Harry Potter movies and even Monty Python and get to think, oh, I've been around there. And it really enhances the experience of watching these movies. I'm sure for some people it might kind of take them out of it because you remember that it's not inside the story, it's a real place people went to. Or I could be wrong, maybe it's a minority, maybe it's majority, I don't know. I can't figure out the math on all this. I'm just kind of rambling on at this point. But all that is to say that this trip to Scotland was truly an eye-opening experience. I was really glad to have spent my reading week traveling through there and seeing all these places and trying out different things. So yeah, that's it for this installment. I'll see you next time on Chance of Sussex.